Showtime.
Are we live?
We are live.
How awesome! I'm so excited to be live with everyone. Finally, it's been. Let me see. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I have like the other streamer on right now, and so that was the noise from that screen. So this is our first time doing a live. I'm so excited to be here. Where do you see who's live? Oh, I see here like the chats. Okay, so we've already been chatting with some people. TLSB clothing. Hey there. And so basically, I guess we're gonna wait for a couple more people to join, but we really want to welcome this for everyone who has questions. Really make this like a meet and greet. Maybe talk about like upcoming shows, what you guys want to see. If you guys want to see guests featured, because I know we've been doing solo shows. And then get into like the backstory of like Millennial Money. Again, it's been so long, and so I'm just excited to maybe meet some of the people. I mean, not me, but virtually see some of the people that have been watching us for so long, or any newcomers. I'm Alexandra, right, from Millennial Money. Maybe you guys are tuning in from because you heard about it from Millennial Money, or maybe just Rich Dad fans. And then Sarah's the magician behind everything.
Hello. This is so exciting.
It is.
Because Millennial Money's been a long time in the making.
So
I know that there are fans that have been on this journey with you since the beginning. So it's really cool to finally do like a live, do something out of the normal.
Yeah. And we were talking like right before we went live how it's been completely insane that just 6 years have flown by, Sarah, since we've been working together, and since Millennial Money even started. So I cannot believe that. Like, and when I see some of the loyal fans in there that are like, yeah, Alex, you've grown, or the show has gotten better, and that's thanks to you, Sarah. It's so nice to see like how many people have actually stuck around since the very beginning. And those were some rough beginnings. So I'm glad you guys stuck it through and have made it to like this new series of Millennial Money.
It's so funny to think about how the show even came to fruition, right?
Yeah.
So you started with Rich Dad as an intern.
Mm-hmm.
I remember I got married. It was May 2017.
I remember that.
I came back from the wedding and they were like, "Oh, you're going to have a summer intern for a week." And we were like, "What do we do with an intern?"
You probably didn't even
Honestly,
like me before meeting me.
I didn't really know. I mean, I knew of you, obviously, because your
Mhm.
dad's been around Rich Dad for, 20 years, 25
Yeah.
years. So it was what just more of, I'm great. I'm going to be babysitting for the summer is really how I saw it. But
Of course.
but it wasn't just Rich Dad you were stopping at, right? You were supposed to intern with all of the advisors. So Kenny McElroy,
Yeah.
Tom Wheelwright.
Mhm. I was actually very excited for that part of like the completing my internship with Rich Dad and then jumping on with the advisors. But I mean, I got the full-time job and I was like, okay, I'll go with it. And I loved it. And and I can see why you probably thought you were going to babysit me, because I was what, 20 years old when we started.
Yeah.
Like even Millennial Money, I was I was still very, very young. So I can definitely see where you came from with that. And funny backstory. Should we share the truth behind the very first Millennial Monies?
Well, first share, I think it's cool. First of all, it was Robert's idea, right?
Yeah.
When he knew that you were starting with Rich Dad and going to be part of the team, it's like, how can we use your youth to kind of reach an audience that Robert hadn't reached before? And so he came up with this idea of a series called Millennial Money. And the original series, I think we shot 8 or 10 episodes of
I think it was
the
10.
original.
Yeah.
And go ahead.
No, go.
So then we shot him, right? And we had a little bit of an audio problem.
Yeah. So and to give some backstory to that, you know, Robert and I would travel before on like through all the Rich Dad Latino, because we also have it in Spanish, Rich Dad Latino events. And so that's where I got to meet Robert, right? Like Chile, Argentina, Spain, Barcelona, everything. And so he would always tell me like, you know, what are the constant struggles your friends have? And so then finally, when I got hired, he passes by my little cubicle and he's like, "Hey, let's film today." And I'm like, what do you mean we're gonna film today?" And he's like, "Yeah, let's film something." And I remember I wasn't even like ready for camera that day. And he's like, "You know, millennials money, let's call it millennial money." And I'm like, "Okay, I guess we're doing this." And if you guys haven't heard about the Colby test, that is the true definition of a quick start. And so his quick start brain came up with something brilliant. We did not think this was actually gonna be anything successful. YouTube wasn't even a thing at that time.
It was,
And
especially for us, like we had a channel
yeah,
and we had posted a few videos, but never really put any love or thought into this,
no.
and definitely never a series. And so it was for us a big deal to
Yeah.
launch kind of our YouTube channel.
Yeah, and oh, you asked me about the audio. And so basically,
Yeah.
funny story for that, we recorded the episodes were actually completely incredible. As you guys have seen, I mean, the whole series has like how many millions of views? Like I think it's like
I wouldn't even
50
know off the top
million.
of my head.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think in total it's probably like 50 million. So honestly, it did surpass our expectations. But funny story to that is one of the cameras had issues, the audio was lost. And so basically, the only thing we were able to salvage was Robert's part, which is like those green screen. Does anyone in the chat remember those green screen Millennial Monies from the very
Had
beginning?
like
Have
the
you
green
watched those?
background.
It looked like we were in a spaceship. I guess we'll see right now what they say. But
Yeah.
but basically it was like I had to film my part months later. And so I mean it was basically me nodding my head, which is when I got my nickname Latina Bot because people thought I could say only one word answers.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
so here's proof I'm not a Latina bot.
So you've
um,
grown so much over, the last 6 years, and not only personally but professionally, and to see where you were then compared to now, like we're just always, so proud of you and the accomplishments that you've made, and more importantly that you really did. Robert talks about work to learn, not to earn, and
yeah.
you really took that seriously.
Mhm.
You'd kind of had a rich dad education kind of background. I know your parents are huge fans, and you played the cash flow game uh, a lot as a family. But I think you really dove into the business and really embraced the mission and how you can help spread the Rich Dad mission to elevate the financial well-being of humanity seriously. And you
Mhm.
really became that icon for us. And so
Mhm.
I personally just want to, congratulate you and recognize you for all of that work, because it's
Aw.
not easy to be vulnerable and do a video every week. And because we were pumping them out weekly back in originally,
We
uh,
were. We
it
were.
was a lot of work.
But thank you, Sarah, and honestly, that growing wouldn't have came without you, that discipline, that structure, because I'm also very creative, and so you would keep me in line and just, really I think that was pivotal for anything to become successful with the projects that we were doing, and so I'm thankful to you because you really took me under your umbrella and you trained me, and like you said, that shows the value of working to learn and not to earn, because now everything I learned I was able to start my own business, right? And like basically duplicate what I'm doing and have my clients. And so that just goes like for everybody there watching it really is, you have to work to learn and not to earn. And one thing I want to mention about the Millennial Money is it's funny because those videos, if you look back on them, were not the best well-produced things we've done. And um like they took off, and one thing I've learned from every entrepreneur I've interviewed on the show is definitely their number one priority is always progress over perfection. And so don't wait for things to be perfect because they won't be. And that truly stuck out with me with Evan Carmichael also. He always talks about progress over perfection. Perfection doesn't matter. And so the green screen Millennial Monies are proof of that. And sorry, Sarah, I was seeing someone in the live chat and they were actually talking about, so they asked, how can we save on taxes and debt, using debt? And so I think that's like a great topic to Biz Web Tech said that. So that's going to be a great topic for a future Millennial Money too. We'll write that down. And maybe we can even get Tom on the show. Would you guys want experts on the show? I'm curious because right now we've been doing them solo. So get some experts on the show. Let me see. I'm reading through all the chats. Sorry, guys. Oh, someone asks, is it true that Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, showed Robert the BI triangle when he was 16 years old? I know he was really young. I don't know if it was 16 exactly. You're a true fan if you know his age, but he was really, really young when he learned about this whole world of entrepreneurship. Let's see. Oh, there's a newcomer, La Sierra Acres Hatchery. So send in anything that you guys are curious to know about Millennial Money, about people are going crazy about this Vietnam helicopter.
Ooh, I know. I've seen a couple comments about that. That's because Robert always talks about it.
I think it's sarcasm, right? Because it's for the millionth time. Living the dream. That's actually funny. I know we've heard that story a million times.
Do you want to talk real fast? I see a comment just came in from 31095-177 asking, we would appreciate small ways to earn money or create cash flow for people who don't have a lot of money to invest. So I'll just tell my quick story of how kind of I got started in investing in small ways that I invest. And I know you started small too.
Yeah.
The key for me is, for one, don't worry about buying a real estate property first, right? Because for me, having a financial education just meant trying something new. And so it wasn't, this year was my first time buying silver. And that then made me fully aware, start studying, all of the ways silver or gold or assets like that really kind of protect your wealth rather than grow your wealth. And so it's just having, I know Kim says this a lot, a little bit of skin in the game. But you actually started, when you started your own business, you started small using very little capital to start your side hustle.
Yeah.
Right? Was it?
Yeah. Can you repeat the exact question? Because I want to be able to pinpoint exactly what they're asking.
We would appreciate small ways to earn money or create cash flow for people who don't have a lot of money to invest. Okay. So talk about blame the cork. How you got, because that wasn't a lot of money.
Yeah. And so, because I know, for example, a lot of people are like, yeah, I'll invest in silver and gold, which is what I started doing, not because I was expecting passive income, but because it was, like Sarah said, to get your skin in the game, to start learning the language of money, to start seeing, okay, silver's going up, is silver dropping, what's going on? Same with penny stocks. But again, I lost money with the penny stocks, right? Which at that time was a lot of money for me because it was a big chunk of my paycheck. And so it's just getting your skin in the game, like Sarah was mentioning, just to understand the fundamentals. Now, in today's day and age, it's a digital world, right? So it's the perfect opportunity to actually, like Sarah was mentioning, start your business or start a side hustle and have very little money actually invested. I started off with a passion of mine, which was cheese boards and charcuterie boards. It was called Blame the Cork in Arizona. And I started selling it to neighbors and whatnot. It blew up. It got in the hands of the right person. Then private jets started ordering. There was a restaurant in Arizona that started ordering called 36 Below. And then it was we had 400, 500 orders a week. So it was it was incredible. And again, that's a perfect example of putting very little money in and then, reaping the benefits of it. I know that's more physical, but today, now online, I was telling my friend, start learning how to manage a business. She started a hat company and started selling them on Etsy. And so there you can start learning different ways of making money. Also, one thing I recommend, especially, I don't know how old this person is that was asking, but it's really easy to basically get certified in any skill set. Like, you can become a social media manager within a week. You can become a YouTube expert within a month. You can really like just start learning how to, I don't know, code. Like, people are learning how to do these skills online. And then you go on like Fiverr, freelance. I think there's like different freelance websites. Like, I mean, I even joined some communities before I like stopped working full time with Rich Dad and like started my business. There's like, I joined a bunch of Facebook groups of like Fiverr freelancers, help with freelancers and whatnot, read up on like some ebooks. And there's a ton of websites where you can start offering these services for cheap until you build your clientele. And then, I mean, some of them went from like making just like a couple, like $20, like some change per week, to now having like, 6-figure business. So the resources are there. Those are just some ideas. But maybe we could show about that too.
Yeah, with Blame the Cork, it was such a specific idea, and to watch how it exploded over such a short amount of time, because then you started growing it into Miami, like that was really awesome to see. But I want the audience to know that just one idea, one simple solution to somebody else's problem. So like, for example, that jet company that hired you to cater, right? They had a problem and you were able to solve it for them. So as far as starting, you can start small with any idea and it takes off from there. Like, you just never know.
You never know. And sometimes people are like, oh, no one would want that, or the market's already saturated. No, find a way to make it special. And so I love that you're mentioning that, Sarah, because also it's solving a problem. And I know in entrepreneurship, we have to do a lot of things that we hate. I hate accounting, or I dislike. My mom always says, don't say hate. I dislike accounting. I dislike invoicing. I dislike numbers in general, but I have to do them, right? Because that's what entrepreneurship is. But I do think that you can solve a problem by fulfilling your passion and what you love. And so I, inherited this talent from my grandmother and my mother of like decorating and, putting together plates. And I've always loved that. I've always loved making just like a simple, I don't know, breakfast beautiful. And so that's how, Blame the Cork even started. And I didn't know that I was going to be solving someone's problem. I didn't know that there was going to be other, women or like house gatherings of people who didn't like hosting. And that's how word went around. And then I landed in the hands of like private jets. And so you really never know what your passion is going to fulfill. As long as it's solving a problem, you have to ask yourselves, like, in your circle, what's a problem that I can fix? Or start with like, what am I talented in that I can offer the world? Because as long as you're adding value, people will throw money your way. Like, it's just about money. Money's there.
Yeah. I'm going to post this next question that I think we should touch on. I'm going to post it on the screen so everybody can kind of read along. It says, hey, Alexa and Sarah, I'm a big fan. I absolutely love your show. By the way, are you financially free now? Do you prefer being active in a business or relying on passive income?
Do you prefer? Okay. So this is a two-part question. I'm so happy to have you as part of Millennial Money. Thank you for following along. And I think it's funny how people call me Alexa, because that's what Robert used to call me in the beginning of the shows. So I would consider myself financially free in the fact that I have passive income, right? Kim said I was financially free when I started getting $25 of passive income coming my way. So, but it's definitely, I still need to get to the point where my passive income can completely pay for all my living expenses. I have passive income from, an investment I have. I have passive income from the property in Scottsdale, Arizona. I'm working on getting another deal pretty soon here in Florida. And then I have my business. My business generates passive income, but there's still parts of it where I have to be very hands-on. And so it's not just fully functioning on its own. So I hope that answers your question too. Oh, and do you prefer being active in business or relying on passive? It depends because I love what I do. I love my clients. So for some of you might not know, but I started oh, sorry, I was reading one of the comments. I started a business, a social media business. And so basically all my clients are in financial education and personal development because that's what I love. And so while I help them create content for their social media, create a strategy, I'm also learning from a lot of these geniuses. And so I love what I do. I love being able to feel like I'm impacting other lives by spreading their information, because so many of these people have so much knowledge, but they don't have the strategy to actually spread it. And so I love being able to help them reach those lives. So I do love being active in my business, but it is such a great feeling like no other when you receive, and Sarah, you know this, when you receive like that first check of like passive income from like your property, which still is technically hands-on because you still need to make some phone calls and get like certain things fixed and like the upkeep, but there's no greater feeling. And so that's why I'm working on getting like more investments, because that's I don't know, that feeling's pretty awesome. So I don't prefer either. I love both. But ideally I'm working on, in the long run, that being my retirement plan, where it's like just a bunch of passive income as opposed to being active in something.
Yeah. I think at this stage for me, at this stage in the game, I feel like I'm still learning. I feel like especially with my short-term rental business, I feel like I'm more hands-on than a normal person probably would want to, but that's because I feel like I learn by doing. And eventually I'll get there. I'll get to enough properties where I can hand it over to a property management company and not think about it and just collect checks. But I feel like right now I'm still learning, and that's to me super important.
Yeah, and I think that's like the soul of an entrepreneur. Like, I know so many entrepreneurs in this space that could, Robert, for example, he can retire, but they don't want to. It's a lifelong journey of learning. Kim is still very much active in the business, is still very much actively investing, asking questions, when they could, be on a golf course and just enjoying life. But even for me, it's like what Sarah said, I love learning. Like, and it's a huge satisfaction when you, I don't know, for example, like when I learn about like a new like tax benefit or tax incentive or write-off, and you're like, oh my God, it's so cool. Like, it's a good feeling to just continue growing and expanding. We talk about this too, like even personally, spiritually, whatever. So I think that's the soul of an entrepreneur. You just constantly want to be growing. So I don't think it ever ends. Like, I see my parents, and I grew up in a household full of entrepreneurs, and they don't stop. Like, they constantly just love what they do and they want to keep on going. So it's definitely lifelong.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah.
Let's see.
Someone asked about Bitcoin and taxes. So again, I could probably ask to see maybe if Tom Wheelwright would want to come on the show. But he actually talks a lot about that on his pages as well. If you want to go along and check out his pages, Tom Wheelwright. He's a tax advisor for Rich Dad. Really, I mean, people have saved so much money in taxes because of him.
Yep.
So, but again, we can maybe save that for a topic for another day. When will you ever sell? Oh, so someone said, this is actually, I think it's a good question. Ceza 1980. When will you ever sell silver and gold? If you don't sell, then what is the point in holding? So a lot of people, I mean, you could sell, right? Because it is an appreciating like commodity. But at the end of the day too, the way we talk about it here at Rich Dad is that it's just something to protect your cash. If times were to come where it gets difficult, you can rely on your silver and gold. You can't rely on the fiat currency, right? We actually just filmed, when was it? Like this week, right? A Millennial Money. It'll be released this week or next week. When is it, Sarah?
Next Thursday.
We touched briefly on that, and we touched briefly on the history of why the dollar is basically worthless. It's trash, and that's why we say savers are losers. And I know some of you have gotten mad about that in the past, but it's basically because it is worth less each day, and so silver and gold will help protect that value. And look at Venezuela or like all these other countries, even Peru, unfortunately, that's where I'm from, where times come rough, like the only thing that can truly save you is like that commodity. It's liquid. You can exchange it really quickly. And then get your cash if needed at that time. But I just see it, I think a lot of people see it as insurance, like in the space where they see it as insurance, something to protect your cash, as opposed to something that's devaluing every day. So that's how we see it. Not necessarily something that gives you passive income.
Right. I'm gonna throw this one up here because I think we can speak to this. Robert
Sarah?
has said the buy. Oh yeah.
No, sorry. I just have, it's funny. I don't know why everybody's spelling Sarah as Sera. But okay.
It's fancy.
Oh yeah, I like it. Sarah.
Robert has said that buying real estate is the best way to make passive income, but with the market being at an all-time high, how do I know when is the best time to actually buy?
Well, you can't time the market, right? Like and that's what, all everybody in the space says. Ken McElroy, Jason Hartman, they push out so much incredible content about this daily. And I don't believe there's a perfect time in buying. When I bought my first property, everybody was like, oh, but the market's at an all-time high. And I mean, I was freaking out a little bit, but if the numbers make sense, they make sense. The property will cash flow if the numbers make sense, even if the market's high. You can find a good deal in any market. And so and thankfully I didn't listen to all these people, because that's what Ken McElroy, Jason Hartman, they obviously, there's times where they'll buy more. If a crash were to come, I can imagine that they're going to be buying a bunch of properties, and I'll be jumping on buying like my next investment, like investing in the next property. But at the end of the day, you can't time the market. The housing market's something that, yes, like look at 2008, right? I mean, and then the highest price point that we reached for the housing market after that, it's still 10 times higher than it was in the past. So it's like, real estate always appreciates at the end of the day. Like your house today isn't what it was worth 20 years ago. It's 10 times that. So
Andrea put in the comment, investors are always investing. As long as the property cash flows, then you are good. And I think I just want to reiterate that point is, if the numbers work, then it's the right time to buy. If you have the financial education and the numbers make sense, then it's the right time to buy. Because to your point, I bought my first property, it was a year and a half ago now. At that time, everybody was like, it's the top of the market. What are you thinking? And I know people are concerned about interest rates, sure, but that goes into the numbers, because you can always refi later. I mean, you're not, so don't make that a factor. If they work, they work. If they don't, they don't.
Exactly. I think people need to get rid of that fear. Again, you're not going to, buy a property that's an all-time high in not a so great location and not evaluate the numbers, right? Then your investment won't make sense. But like Andrea said, investors are always investing. Like, I went to Empowered Investor at the beginning of this year, the event's hosted by Jason Hartman, and all these investors were still investing. Like, it was nonstop. And again, people were saying, don't buy, don't buy, don't buy. These investors don't stop, because at the end of the day, it always appreciates. And so, like Andrea said, cash flow is what matters. Like, that's what we always teach here at Rich Dad. So you just need to know that you need to do your numbers, and you need to make sure that it cash flows, that it makes sense, that the mortgage, covers the passive income covers the mortgage, the expenses, everything.
I'm going to pop Coding Solutions has a great question about team. Working on building a successful business team, could you share some tips on who I should have in my team to ensure our venture's success?
Building a team, Sarah, as we've seen it at Rich Dad, and even, when I've been working really hard on building my team, it's hard. I think it's one of the hardest aspects of a business, because to find good people, to find people that align with your mission, it's definitely an uphill battle. I've let go of a couple people in short span of time. But when you find talented people, invest in them, care about them, care about your team. And so that's one of the most important things I can suggest. But, at Rich Dad, we've always mentioned how we can think about this from a smaller scale and a bigger scale, right? For example, right now, people that are important on my team are my accountant. Of course, like, I made sure that legally everything was making sense, that a client wouldn't be able to blame me for something later down the road. So that's really important because you need to protect yourself no matter what. And then, for example, just like my content creators, right? And I think nowadays too, you definitely need someone in the social media area on your team. And so those are who we always start off with. But I know that Robert has mentioned it's always like your legal team, your accounting team. Then there's like he has a stock advisor, a real estate advisor, and I think all those come into play once you start making more money, because then obviously you want their advice to be able to invest. But if you're starting off small, because like you said, coding, he's working on building a successful team, right? So he's just starting, I imagine. Definitely get someone from marketing on your team because you can have a good product, but if no one knows about it, then what's the point? Have a good accountant on your team because it can save you a lot in taxes and keep you in line as well with bookkeeping. And then definitely legally make sure that everything's set up, like the structure of your business is set up correctly, that everything's under the business name, not your personal name. Do not do that. And so that's my suggestion. Anyone else that you think of, Sarah, that I'm missing?
I mean, the bookkeepers definitely at the top of the list. Your accountant to help with taxes, because when I first started as a independent contractor, when I started my like back in the day, like totally got screwed on taxes. So have a tax person that can advise you to make the best decisions to save you on that.
Yeah.
I love your recommendation of marketing, because especially in this digital age, if you don't have a good social team or marketing team, no one's going to learn about you. So I loved that who you started with your team. So
Yeah. Wait, I love this comment Andrea put. She said, marry the property and date the rate. And see, like Dustin, that's what like all these gurus always say, buy and then refi. Maybe it's not the best outlook, but it's definitely like that shouldn't
option.
stop you from, if you find a great deal, that should by no means stop you.
Yeah.
But someone here said, I'm taking a cybersecurity course. I think that's great, Bradley. Again, someone earlier, not so long ago, had also asked, like, okay, how do I start off building a team? A business, and really, like Bradley, you specialize in something. I congratulate you, and then find a way to sell it to people who need it, right? So, and then what someone said, so Carlos Gonzalez said, how much money do you need to build your team? This is an important question, actually, and I guess it just depends on what kind of business you have. In my opinion, first I had my savings from my original job at Rich Dad, and I invested in just like getting everything legally structured, getting a legal opinion, getting an accountant on board to make sure that the legal structure also made sense in terms of taxes and what I was doing and offering. So that was like a small investment, at first. And then I didn't start building my team until probably 6 months in. And so with the profits I was making, I took a pay cut and then just started outsourcing what I could outsource. So I would definitely say, just start small, and then based off of the demand and the profits you're making from your business, see what you can outsource and then go from there. Something that has been incredible for me, at least, is my VAs are in Venezuela. And so it's, a lot more economic to pay them than it is someone here in the US. So again, the numbers make sense for my industry. It depends. I don't know what kind of business you have, but I would try and prove the concept first and then start building your team.
And I think I've heard Kim say this too, is, when you're just starting, you don't need to hire a law firm. You don't need the $500 an hour rates. So make sure, who you're hiring fits where you are at in that stage of business. And then grow it from there.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that.
Is it smart to invest in silver companies right now? I don't know what kind. No,
Yeah,
it all
depends.
depends. Everything depends. And I want to. We're getting. I think it's about time to wrap up. But
Oh, I was having fun. I didn't even realize it's
it
already
flew
6:35.
by. It
Yeah.
flew by. But one of the things I maybe to talk about, because we get a lot of questions. Should I invest in silver? Should I invest in real estate? And I think that goes back to why we started Millennial Money, right? We're not high level, we're not macroeconomic. That's where Robert is really the guru.
Yeah.
I think Millennial Money is for those who had never had a financial education, or just starting out, or they've been listening to you for a while and they need that mindset shift. I think that's the key. And even if I said, yes, invest in silver, it's a great idea, I hope nobody would ever take that
Yeah.
that advice.
It's like trust and verify. It's the importance of your due diligence. That is, someone earlier said, that's in this world of entrepreneurship, you can't just take, even if Robert Kiyosaki told you, invest in this, you need to do your homework and you need to see if the numbers make sense, because no one's the beholder of all the answers. And I just want to say hi to someone who's Peruvian. His name is Chris. He's from Canada. He's like, I just turned 18. I have no money. I have no income, no money. How can I get started investing with my money? I'd say invest in your financial education, which is what we always say here at Rich Dad. And then invest in, just like Bradley did, like in getting certified in something like, cybersecurity or social media. I mean, find something, like watch YouTube. Like that's how I realized like what I wanted to do. I just watched like a bunch of people teaching stuff on YouTube, Udemy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Find something you like, become completely specialized in that. You only invest like a couple $100 in these courses. I think I got mine on a deal for like $25, and then look, now I'm able to like do what I do, right? But become completely specialized in something and then offer that. And then someone said AI will change a lot. We'll actually do a Millennial Money on that, because I think
I think that'd be good too.
yeah, that'll
And
be
the
good.
manual says, knowledge is key, and that really is the great way to wrap this up, because Robert always says, it's not the investment that's risky, it's the investor, right? And so that's really what we're trying to help everyone out with, is how to be a less risky investor by being educated and not just getting the answers. If I were just to give you the answers, you wouldn't learn anything. And so if we give you the why or the context of what Robert says or what we teach on Millennial Money, that's the important thing, and that's going to help with the mind shift to really make you a confident investor.
Yeah. And I love that, Emmanuel. Thank you, because that is truly what we teach here. Knowledge is key, and you have to invest in your knowledge. You have to invest in your growth. And like you said, it's the perfect way to end the show, I think, because also everybody's journey is unique to their own. Like my passion of content creation, of creativity, of, helping people reach and change lives, that's not everybody's passion. So like if I tell you do this, then you'll fail, but and maybe you like stocks, maybe you like real estate. So really it's so unique to your own experience, that you can't just, take someone's word for it and then do just that, right? Invest in what you like and find the skills that you like as well. So thank you for that. Let's end the note on knowledge is key.
Yeah, I love that. Perfect way. So I think if I'm not mistaken, I think this was a success, and I would love to do more lives with you in the future. And maybe the next live we bring someone like Tom Wheelwright on to answer more of these like technical questions. You're not a tax expert, and nor am I. No. But I think that would be something fun to do if we started to maybe do these monthly. So
yeah.
Thank everyone for joining. Thank you for taking time out of your day, Alexandra. Any closing thoughts?
Thank you, Sarah, for everything you've done. Again, like all the growth that we've seen with the channel, everything that you guys see behind the scenes of how much this show has improved is thanks to Sarah. And so I'm grateful to be working with you. And thank you to everyone who joined today. Like you guys make this community so special. You guys are the reason when I get messages from you guys on Instagram and stuff, it like fuels me with happiness. Really. It makes me know that I'm like living my passion, my dream. I love hearing from you guys, and And thank you, because being an entrepreneur is fun. It's an uphill battle always. And so I find it so motivating to see 167 people watching, wanting to change their lives. And thank you guys for being there from the very beginning for Millennial Money, and for your continued support. So thank you all for joining.
We'll see you next time.
Okay, see you guys next time. Bye.